Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. I have Albert Ramos and Ian Jensen. Yo, we got so many things to talk about. We appreciate you guys pulling up on the ones and twos. Okay, can you guys hear me? Put a one in the chat if you guys could hear me on Clubhouse. Want to make sure you guys could hear me loud and clear. Put a one in the chat if you guys could hear me on Clubhouse, please. Fan freaking tastic. Okay, I'm gonna bring some people up on the stage. Ian, can you get on Clubhouse so I can bring you up, please? What I'll do, guys, if you guys don't know, we're live and in color on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Christian Mingles, Farmers Only, the whole nine, baby. Okay, so I'm super happy to see you guys here. Post a YouTube channel up there. Today we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're gonna start off with the some of the changes, and you guys just opened escrow, I guess. Can you talk to us about that?
We sure did. Yeah. So there was a listing in Chula Vista, and I passed it around in our group chat. Because that's essentially that's one of the benefits that we have of the Cardone veterans. We have this huge network of people that we're able to connect with nationwide. But in this case, it was my good brother Ian. Had a client ready to go. Literally, this house was in the market for like 12 days. We have an offer accepted where it's a win-win situation for both clients, and we're ready to get it sold.
Yeah, and this woman, she's a Navy veteran, immigrant from another country, 4 children, and we've been shopping for probably better part of a year, trying to find the right place with the right mix of location, schooling. Expenses, obviously a big part of his space. She's got 4 children that are probably 16 and under.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you this: it wasn't for me yesterday. It wasn't a breeze because at the same moment that I received Ian's offer, I also received a cash offer, all cash offer, all cash offer.
Deny Jack.
Yeah,
real estate gods are ironic.
I know, but
Post to YouTube.
So I had received an all cash offer, but the report means a lot, man. I'm gonna tell you this because when with you guys showing more interest and you guys doing the due diligence beforehand, that was like, no, I actually feel more comfortable closing with these people because I feel that we're gonna be able to go to the finish line, because that's one of the things, right? You can offer $1 million for a property, and if you feel that person is not going to be able to close or get to the finish line because they're just looking for something to cancel the contract or renegotiate the contract completely, then it's pointless for you to accept that offer, even though it might seem on paper like it's a better offer.
Yeah, you're wasting time.
You're wasting time, essentially, right? It's always better to go with the person that has the highest offer and you have the best feeling that it's going to go to the finish line. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I don't know if we were thinking about starting the conversation off like this, but I think it's a good conversation because this happens a lot now, and it's happening a lot now, specifically in the summer real estate market, right? Oh, well, we have an offer at $30,000 over asking. Okay, perfect. $30,000 over asking, but does that mean that during the home inspection, that person's going to ask you for like $18,000? He wants, everything brand new, even though it's a resale property. And then all of a sudden, either you give him that or he's going to cancel escrow.
That's some of the things that I definitely we're going to unpack. Today's show, guys. Welcome to the Winning Real Estate Show and the SITREP podcast, guys. If you guys are on YouTube or you're on TikTok, guys, make sure that you click the link above my head on Clubhouse. You'll be able to see us live and in color, okay, on the SITREP YouTube channel. Now, here's what we're going to be talking about. There's some changes to the compensation for representation for buyers, agents, and veterans. That's a big one. There's a circular that just came out. It's circular 26-24-14. Okay, and we're going to read some of this stuff. It was released June 11, 2024, and this is representation. Basically, what was going on is that veterans were not allowed to pay a commission, the agent's commission or representation for the agent. So that means that the agent was driving around and showing houses for free. The only people that could pay it would be the actual either the real estate, the listing agent, or that commission will be paid by the the seller. Okay, and it's representation, guys. I don't care what anybody tells you with the NAR lawsuit. There's a lot of misconceptions that, you know, they're paying us. They're paying for us to represent them in negotiations. And I want to talk about that a little bit. What do you, I'll start with Ian and then we'll go to you, Albert. What do you see right now going on in the market in regard to negotiating and the changes with the NAR lawsuit?
Directly, I don't see anything of it too much right now. I have been hearing lots of different rumors about the reality of the situation. So this is the what I'm saying here. If you are not following this lawsuit, and if you're just kind of listening to the scuttlebutt about it, you're gonna get misinformed, because the scuttlebutt is they're thinking that, hey, agents aren't like the commissions are cut in half from now on if you want to sell your house. And you know what, go ahead, try it. But the thing is, what this lawsuit stated was that the MLS, which is the search engine that all realtors use, cannot advertise the commission anymore. However, it can be on Zillow. It can be on your website. It can be on a sign in the front yard. You can advertise that commission anywhere else you want except the MLS. And I feel like that's kind of the red herring about the whole discussion, because it was just basically, I think, to remove power from the realtor lobby.
Yeah, what essentially, you know, the NAR, CAR, so National Association of Realtors, and the California Association of Realtors want to ensure, which is something that they've been preaching for a long time, is to ensure that you have a buyer's exclusivity agreement with them. In other words, for them to understand that if they hire your services, they are going to be responsible for you to pay X. Now, I can bring you an example, because I already submitted an offer on somebody that I had to negotiate my commission as part of the contract. And it actually went very smoothly, to be honest with you. It wasn't a weird conversation. It wasn't nothing, you know, shady going on. At least again here in California, there's already forms that are included in the zip forms whenever you're doing the contract, right? And one of them is sellers agree to pay buyer's compensation agreement. Okay, the SPBB, I think it's called. And in that one, all you have to specify, if it's not listed in the MLS, or if they're not advertising it, if you put in an offer in that document, you can specify who's paying for it. Seller, how much is he paying? Is he paying a percentage, or is he paying a flat fee? Buyer, is he paying a percentage, or is he paying a flat fee? And then it specifies where it's coming from, and that's all I needed to include. It wasn't nothing weird. All I did was I submitted my offer with that document, and then whenever I always call the listing agents when I'm representing a buyer, and I always call them like, hey, let me talk to you about my offer. And that was just one of the things. Like, did you see the SPBB in there? Yes, we saw it. We are considering it. That was it. Yeah, we're considering it, because we had like 3 other agents that also submitted the SPBB. So it's nothing weird or nothing crazy that's actually going on. And I think it will be for what I've seen. I'm sure that there will be its exceptions, but for what I've seen, it's been a smooth transition, or it's going to be a smooth transition come July.
I think the same thing too, but I will tell you guys this. Listen, if you guys are looking to you know, if you're an agent and you're not paying attention to the changes that are going on, then you're going to have a hard time. But you're going to have to present your value going forward in regard to why people should pay representation for you. But let's unpack some of the things that real estate professionals are actually do for buyers. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna say something first. For all the real estate personnel, or the real estate people, or the real estate professionals that are out there, don't. I'm telling you, don't. They are, this is going to be controversial, right? But there are too many people out there that are just looking for a quick buck, that are just looking for a quick paycheck. And I've seen it when people tell me, for example, whenever it comes to listing presentations, when you do a listing presentation and you tell to a client, I charge 6%. Take it or leave it. Not necessarily like that, right? But essentially, that's what you're trying to tell them with your sweet, kind words. This is what I'm worth, but then you don't really present the value like we were talking about to the actual client. Same thing with the buyers. I can tell you right now, to go back to your question, I can tell you right now a specific value that I have. You will have to be specialized. I specialize in PCS, veterans, and veterans and active duty service members, right? So I've sold people that are halfway across the world. Georgia, the state, not the state of Georgia, but the country of Georgia. Sold the home to a gunnery sergeant that's in MSG. I saved him so much money. This Marine thought that he had to save up $120,000 because he thought that he had to put like 20% down, 15-20% down. I was like, no, brother. Dual military couples. If you're a dual military couple, once a veteran, once a service member, I am going to save you $12,000 to in the purchase of your property, because even though the veteran might have less income, he doesn't have to pay the VA funding fee. Automatically that saves them 2.1% or 2.3% if there's a recurring one. You need someone that understands and is able to talk about this stuff like this, because whenever it comes to negotiations, you need somebody that is not only able to know the knowledge, is also able to bring the knowledge in the negotiation piece, because guess who doesn't know this information?
The listing agent. Guys, this is the part that we want to talk about. And welcome to the show, guys. Please raise your hand. I see my brother Kyler. I see Roxy. Guys, we're on the show. If you guys put a 1 in the chat, if you guys could hear us loud and clear, or Lima Charlie. And guys, the reason why we're doing this show live and in color is because we want to talk to you guys and just, go over a couple of things and give you guys some updates on some things. So if you guys have questions, I want you guys to raise your hand and raise your hand and come up on stage, because we have a lot of stuff to unpack. So Angel, thank you for coming to the show. Sonia, entrepreneur, Ian, thank you guys. Shay, thank you for coming to the show. If you have questions or comment, please unmute your mic and say hello. Okay. So here's the deal. Let's talk about some of the things that we're seeing in this market. Okay. Yesterday, I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and he was about to. This is a crazy story, and I'm just gonna say it, y'all. Y'all want to hear? Y'all want to hear some a little bit of drama? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to hear some drama right now.
Then you gotta put it. You already know.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm gonna look. So check this out. So there I was. I got a phone call. A friend of mine is PCSing. He's a first sergeant down at MCRD San Diego, and I sold him his property. Okay. There's a couple of individuals that are lurking down there at MCRD, right? And he called me yesterday and said, I did a listing presentation. He was ready to go. The other day I called him, and then he said that he wanted to list with the other person. So I said, are you sure? He was like, yeah, because I worked with this person before, and I just want to give him a shot. And I said, hey man, it's is it friendship or the best person that can represent you on listing your property? Let me show you the difference. So basically what I did is I said, did you know about, potentially not lowering the value of your property and giving credits because it's a tax write-off? What do you think he said? No. Nope. I said, did you look up did you see that we're in Oceanside, near Navy Federal Credit Union? Why don't you Google the person to see who has the most global recognition? Are they on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn? Is your listing going to go on there? Do they have 58 realtors that you can tag and loan officers so you can get your?
That's how we got this property sold so quickly.
Exactly. So these things, when I started walking them through, and I said, not only are we going to do that, we're going to pre-qual you so you go to North Carolina with a pre-qualification in hand. And oh, by the way, we have agents there. So these are like the things before listing with your cousin, Day-Day, or your uncle.
Or your
Listen
friends.
to me, or your friends that just got a license. It matters who they know, okay? And it matters who knows them as well. And I want to go to Ian. Why is that important for that? Give us some scenarios that you worked out of the difference between. I know you got a couple of listings to where their agent was fired and then they listed with you and you were able to sell their property. Can you give us a couple of examples? And then I want to go to you, Albert, and ask you about the event that you have coming up this weekend.
Perfect.
So when you go to list your house, what you got to consider is how capable that person is to selling your house. So unfortunately, this is something that you really have to be selfish about, and you have to go with with somebody that is going to be lethal, right? So if they don't have that skill set put together yet, then it's something that you may want to consider in the future. Or if you really want to help out cousin Day Day, maybe do a joint listing or something like that. Find somebody that they work with that is doing high production, because when it comes to, especially in Southern California, 7, 8, 500, $900,000 house, if somebody loses you 10% on that thing because they are either inexperienced or they're unaware of the leverage points or they're unaware of the environment where they give and take and they don't understand either the negotiation or the market points. If you lose 10% on a $900,000 house, that is $90,000. The impacts of these missteps can be huge when you get to numbers this big. So, not seeing a plumbing problem or not knowing how to negotiate with a buyer about a plumbing problem. All these things can make a massive impact. And one thing that I was able to do recently is reconnect with a client who was struggling selling their house with another agent who was, way out of town. This person was, I think, in like West Hollywood, and they're selling a house in Lake Elsinore. So, I mean, they're definitely not present, and they definitely don't care, and they weren't putting any effort into it, and they'd been on the market for 4 months. We were able to help them through the cancellation process of that, re-signed them, and had the house sold within a month and a half.
Now, something that a lot of people, I'm gonna touch up on what Ian said, okay? Because we have a lot of responsibility whenever it comes to sellers in this market. But you know who's also responsible? Sellers.
Yep.
Because the property, you can be the best marketer. You can show the property to 100,000 people, but if your property is a piece of shit that smells like shit, your house is not gonna sell. And if you do not want to listen to professional advice that we're telling you, and I think that's what something that a lot of people really appreciate. Whenever, when I went to the listing that we now have in escrow, bro, that main wall that was like, as soon as you walk into the property, that was a rainbow. And I'm talking about like a legit rainbow. It was like they painted it themselves. Like they tried to do like a mural. Like they painted like a rainbow with like a sun and all that stuff. And I was like, listen, guys, I know that you guys love it very professionally, right? I know that you guys love this, but we're trying to appeal to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to paint this. I don't care what color, either white or black, but y'all need to paint this wall.
Let me ask you a question about that real quick, guys, because put a 1 in the chat if you guys have seen some ugly houses. Okay? Let's have that conversation. All right, let's role play. Can we role play?
Yeah, of course.
Wait,
okay.
You're going to talk about.
I love role playing.
Let's role play.
Yeah,
guys, put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to hear a role play, because this is where good meets great right here. Because if here's gonna be the strategy. Matter of fact, we want to role play with one of you guys. Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, flash your mic if you guys want to participate in the role play. You're gonna be the client. Okay, this is a scenario. One of you guys are gonna be the client. Okay, and then come on up to the stage because I want to see how you guys are gonna handle this scenario.
If you have like a legit example, don't try to be an asshole, because I used to role play a lot. I'm an expert at role playing because of the recruiting background. But don't try to be the asshole that's just, you already have a no in your mindset. If you have a legit problem like that, you'll be like, man, I really don't know how to solve this. I promise you that once we role play, you'll have a solution to this.
And then the reason why we're doing this, guys, because I think this is gonna help anyone work through scenarios to where when they handle conflict, this is the main reason why. Number 1, you never, ever, ever say nothing negative about the property, ever. Okay. You always give a client a way. And number 2, you always give a client a way out. Okay. You always give a client a way out. So what we're going to do, does anybody want to role play? Flash your mic if you're on stage. You're going to be the client. And then myself and Albert, we're going to be the realtors. You guys want to do that? Entrepreneur, who wants to volunteer? Don't be scared. Chantel, come on, man. Let's get.
The only one that we're seeing is it because I know we are also live on TikTok and all that stuff. Is there anybody?
Anybody else? Everybody scared to role play?
If not,
okay, we'll do it. We'll rock out. Okay, for the sake of time.
Yeah.
Okay, we roll up to the house. We see that property. It has It has a rainbow, right?
Who you are?
I'm gonna be
Are you
I'm gonna
client?
be the client,
Okay.
and then you're going to be the realtor. All right. All right. So, oh man, I don't, this house is nice, but I don't like that rainbow, man. It's ugly.
But what do you mean, that rainbow that you painted on that wall?
No, I'm the actual buyer, and then
Oh,
you're
the
showing,
buyer.
yeah,
Oh, so I'm the buyer's agent, not the
yes, you're the
listing
buyer's
agent.
agent.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. The first thing, what house is this? Is the first one or the last home that
This
we're
is
looking
the
at?
house they like the property.
This is the house that they want to put it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's too easy.
piece of cake.
Yeah, that's too easy. So it's like, okay, so let's. I know that the reason why you guys are thinking that way is because right now you guys are looking at it from a renter's lens. You guys gotta think about this, right? You guys have been renters. You've been a renter your entire life. What happens is that now that you're about to be a home buyer, you don't realize the amount of power that you hold over this property. You can do to this property whatever it is that you want. You can paint it whatever, and that's exactly what happened with. That's why there's a rainbow in this wall, right?
Yeah.
Because the homeowners decided to do whatever it was that they want. You can do the exact same thing. But on top of that, what we are going to do is, if this is the property that you like the most, what we're going to do is we're going to write up an offer on it. And then now, once we write up the offer, because we still got to be competitive, because we don't know who else might put an offer, because they understand they're not looking at it from a renter's perspective. They're looking at it from a buyer's perspective.
Mhm.
So now we're gonna put an offer on it. And if we win, what we're gonna do is during the home inspection, we're gonna identify that wall has a rainbow on it. It's not a pretty rainbow; it's an ugly rainbow. Looks like it's about to freaking rain. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it that wall needs to be painted.
Bingo.
Or what we can also do is we can ask for a $500 credit, so that way you can not only paint that wall, they'll buy the paint in order for you to paint that wall and whichever other wall you paint. How does that sound?
That sounds pretty good.
Always test for yes, guys, because you never know how is it that person is gonna react. Now he said, well, that sounds pretty good. I'm not only listening to the words of that what he's saying, I'm also listening to the tone in what he's saying it. Because if let's say you say, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Go ahead, say it like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that sounds okay.
Okay, now, brother, I sense a little bit of hesitation in your tone of voice. What is it exactly that is holding you back from making a decision?
Because I don't identify with rainbows.
Okay, no, I completely understand. I completely understand, and I respect the fact. Always respect the objection, guys. You guys need to this turned into a I'm telling you, this is my bread and butter. I just don't market it out there, but this is my bread and butter. You always respect the objection, and you always you have to understand the difference in between an objection and a rejection. What he has is an objection because he likes the property. He's just objecting to the rainbow wall. So you have to understand the objection and you have to respect the objection. So, dude, I understand why you feel that way. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm trying to get out to the real reason why you don't like the rainbow. You just don't identify with rainbows. So what we can do is we can write it up in the offer saying like by the end, at the beginning of the offer. But what we don't want is for us to put a lot of things inside the offer, because what if the other person, let's say they received another offer. What we're doing is they're saying like, oh, this one's actually cleaner. It's asking for us to do less things up front. I'm not telling you that we're not going to get it done, but we're not going to get it done at the beginning of the offer. We're going to get it done during the home inspection process. And worst case scenario, what my promise is to you that even if they don't decide to do it, I'll come in here and I'll paint the wall for you. That's how committed I am to ensuring that you succeed in your real estate career.
And then when we have conversations like this, Shay, I see you came off mic. Shay, did you have anything to add? Did you have a question? Shay, going once, going twice. Can somebody on Clubhouse unmute their mic and say what's up? I want to make sure that you guys could hear us because I cannot hear Shay. Kyler.
I can hear you, Tony.
Okay, fantastic. So can you mute Shay, please?
Kyler, shout out to you,
what's
brother.
What's up, Kyler? Good to see you, bro. Here's something that I'm going to say, okay? That any approach works. Here's something that I want to ask.
I want feedback though. Can you tell me how I did?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how you did too, because I think that you did fantastic. Because when you're navigating through this, experience is always gonna trump. Because people will always ask questions and then I'm gonna do another scenario, and then we're gonna compare. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Ian, what are some of the things that we talk about in regard to negotiation that we say if a person likes the property, but they don't like the aesthetics of the property?
Oh, you gotta marry the house with good bones, not good makeup.
There it is, right there. Marry the house with good bones and not makeup. Can you explain?
Okay, so if everyone's got a different taste for their house, what they like, if you like an open floor plan versus a more segmented room plan, right? Let's look at that option, right? So it's a lot easier to change the paint on the walls than it is to change the layout of the walls.
Yep.
Right. If you want to move a wall, that takes a lot more effort than just throwing paint on it, right? So you want to focus on the things that they like about the functionality of the house to make sure that they have every option of enjoying it to their fulfillment, and then they can customize it when it comes to colors and decorations.
Okay. So Albert, I want you, and then we're gonna get feedback. Okay. So now I want you to tell me that you don't like. This is what we're gonna do, guys. After I do the scenario, also, I'm gonna switch, right? So you guys could hear how we all handle the same objection, and then now you have scenarios. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to hear me role play with Albert. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to hear me role play with Albert. Okay. So now I'm gonna show you guys a scenario. It's the same exact scenario, and I'm gonna show you guys how I work through this. And then we're gonna talk about some of the changes that's came up through the NAR lawsuit and unpack that. Okay, so all right, so Albert, congratulations.
Tony, I really love the home.
Hold on. First and foremost, I appreciate us. We're gonna look at a lot of properties, and whatever properties that you like, don't worry about the makeup. Worry about the bones. You can always change the makeup. Let me give you an example first before we go out and look at any properties. Okay. So there's going to be properties that look ugly, right? That have been on the market. But if they're property, if you like the layout, $2,000 worth of upgrades of paint and carpet, we probably could negotiate $30,000, right? Everybody's always going to want the property with the fresh paint and the bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchen all nice. But if it meets the layout and the bedroom bathroom count and a location, we can always change the makeup. So that's going to be my upfront communication before we even show properties. Now, tell me you don't like the rainbow.
I understand what you're saying, Tony, but I really hate that rainbow on that wall.
The challenge is that you hate the rainbow, correct?
Correct.
I'm with you. I don't like the rainbow either. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to, but you do like the layout. What do you like? What do you like about the property?
Yeah, I love the fact that it's spacious enough. It fit my kids, my family. The master bedroom is really nice. I really like the space that the master bedroom provided, and that it has good lighting. It's at a good location.
Fantastic. Okay, so you like that. You like the layout. You like the bedroom, bathroom count.
Just that freaking rainbow.
That rainbow. It sucks. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send you some more listings so we can continue to look. However, I don't want you to miss out on this layout and bedroom, bathroom count, because what we'll do is we'll write a really aggressive offer, because this one has no offers on it. So let's write an offer for asking for $20,000 of closing costs credits and concessions. And then, if we're able to do that while we're looking at other properties, we at least have this iron in the fire while we go look at other ones. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so now I want to unpack what Albert said first, and then we're going to go around the table. Guys, what did you hear? What did you guys hear in Albert's scenario when he was talking about? I want you guys to raise your hand, and I want you, if you guys heard Albert do his negotiation with the rainbow, tell me what you guys heard. What was some of the things? Ian, what did you hear with Albert's negotiation? We'll start with you first, and then we'll go to the people on Clubhouse.
So what I did here is that he identified the objection first, which is and he clarified the objection versus the rejection. Those are very critical things, right? One you walk away, and one's I just don't like this thing, right? So that's a very kind of sophisticated way to go into it, because what you do is you identify if this is a deal breaker or it's just something you need to figure out. So with the paint being on the wall and you don't like it, you have to understand, like in your role play right there, that what you just did, you acknowledged their objection. So therefore, you are then back on the same page. You are on the same team. You're not somebody who's trying to push them into a scenario that they don't want to be in.
Right.
So I would say that's the biggest takeaway from that one I want to talk about, is because if you go into that situation and be like, no, Albert, you're wrong. It's just paint. Stop being an idiot. You know, you're immediately an enemy.
That's true.
When you're supposed to be the one
Correct.
person that you need to establish a deep trust with.
Correct.
So you need to be the guy that they feel they can call in the middle of the night, or that they can talk to you about their problems with their wife or whatever. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You need to be that person that they can be completely honest with. And if you come at them as being somebody who negates their feelings or disregards their opinions, then you are not on their team, and you're probably going to lose that client.
Correct.
And I wanted to say, and then I'm gonna tell you what I saw also. When you do A or B, it basically gives you the data on how to effectively serve the client also. So now you ask a lot of questions. One thing that he did is that he acknowledged. So he acknowledged what he acknowledged the client's visual, that they did not like the rainbow, right? That's the first thing. So that they know that, okay, he understands that I know that me as a client, he knows that I don't like the rainbow. So he acknowledged first, and then he drove to see if it was something that was a deal breaker, or it was something that offering a solution to the deal breaker. So that's what I saw. And I like that, because what it does is it drives down, okay, you like it, but then let me give you the solutions to the scenario by getting into escrow and then negotiating through it if you like everything else.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that, and you guys, there's two things that I utilize a lot, and you guys can steal this from my playbook. Is, listen, guys, I'm the expert, but you guys are the bosses. I'm never gonna live in this property. You guys are the ones that need to be comfortable living in this property, so I'm gonna work towards that. That's one of the things that I always tell my clients. And I also, when I'm meeting my clients for the first time, I ask them, have you guys owned property before? Is this your first time owning a property? You know, does your family owns property? Because if they're only coming specifically with us military folk, we come from a lot of renter families, you know, like they joined the military to get out of the situation that they're in. So a lot of people that fit that criteria. So now, whenever, if your whole family have been renters, you know that when you go to a rental property, there ain't shit you can change. Or if you do change it, you have to put it back the way that it was. So now it's like that's what a lot of people tend to have the hardest time, believe it or not, is understanding that, man, I can do whatever the heck I want to this property.
Yes.
It will be mine.
Yep.
You know, instead of like, oh no,
Good
man, I
and
need to
bad.
ask permission from the landlord if I want to do this. It doesn't work like that. So that's why I ask further questions to truly understand and to truly get them out of that mindset.
Now, I do have a question for you, Albert. Another question for you. So, what was the biggest mistake that you made as a brand new real estate professional getting into the game?
I think that's one of the reasons why I got a lot of traction at the beginning, and I was able to make my name, I guess, very quickly in my real estate career, because I understood sales. Even though I was new to the real estate game, the scripts that I've learned and that I brought into real estate, where work in whatever industry you decide to go with. So I understood, you know, listening to understand, not listening to respond. I understood how to go around the objections. I guess the hardest thing for me coming into the real estate game was for me to generate momentum. Because if you think that your family members are going to help you, they ain't going to help you. If you think your family members are your friends are going to support you, they're not gonna. You might have one that might support you. The other 99.9%, they're looking at you crazy. So
they're not going to help you if you're not doing well.
Yeah. So the hardest part is to gain momentum and to truly understand, like getting clients outside of your sphere of influence. And that's why I started my social media. That was the hardest thing. But you know, now I can tell you this: whenever I was starting in sales, the hardest thing that was for me was selling the product. If I don't believe in the product.
Oh.
So that was the hardest part.
That's a hard.
It's because a lot of people, man, they get into sales and they are selling products that
They're selling want to make money.
Yeah, they don't really believe it. And people, specifically, when you're dealing with people's biggest investments probably in their entire life, people will look through that like this.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
that's why I'm a true believer in the products that I sell, essentially, you know, and the products that I sell is myself and my capabilities of negotiating on your behalf. So that's an easy sell for me, right? If I sold war, guys, for 3 years as a Marine Corps recruiter, the fact that I can sell real estate is a blessing for me.
That's good.
Don't get commission breath. Something
Yeah.
I learned from
Yeah.
another agent.
Yeah.
And what was and then Ian, so what was your biggest mistake? What was the biggest mistake you made when getting into your first year in real estate?
Probably trying to rush the client. So at the very beginning, I had a client that was more selective than any others I had at the beginning, right? So I was maybe 6th or 8th client into the whole game, right? And they were just seeing that they wouldn't stop seeing houses. I was like, what's going on? Like, why are these are nice houses? These are what you guys want.
A looky-loo.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, what the heck's going on? Like, are you wasting my time? What's going on? And so I kept like trying to just be not like, I guess a little bit pushy, but I was trying to make them more action oriented. Like, let's just write the offer and see. And then they weren't doing it. Or if we wrote the offer just to appease me, they turned away from it quickly. But it wasn't until I realized that they weren't shopping for themselves. They weren't shopping for money. They were shopping for a placement for their daughter. They had one daughter, and it didn't click. And every time that the daughter was always with us, and it was always, you know, baby sweetie, you know what I mean? Until like all of a sudden it clicked. Like, they want the best situation for their daughter.
The kid, yeah.
And I was like,
Damn,
oh.
man, you messed that up. You fumbled the ball on that one.
No, because I was money oriented. Like, oh, they want a valuable property. They want a place that they can rent. They want this. They want that. Like, so I was thinking, like, oh, okay. I was, you know, value oriented, trying to provide like monetary value to them, where they are looking for more of a situational value.
Yeah.
And which is something that's a more bigger discussion, is of what type of value is important to your client, whether it be the, you know, the monetary or the emotional. So it wasn't until I realized that I dug in, I was patient, and then I was really trying to put myself into their shoes, and maybe took another week or two after that, and we found the one that was perfect for them. You know, the 3-bedroom, it had enough bedrooms, it had a pool, it was in a nice neighborhood, good school system, low crime, you know, all the different things, right?
Yeah.
So we hit the mark eventually, but it wasn't until I got out of my own way that I was able to help serve the client.
No, yeah, 100%. And you mentioned something very important that I want to touch on, right? It's about being pushy.
Oh, yes.
You know, and there is a lot of people out there that are extremely pushy
Because they want the money.
because they want the money,
Them
right?
counting the dollars.
But in the situation, because I've encountered those people as well. I was actually dealing with one like last weekend, okay, where like I cannot find. I'm very purposeful, right? Because you got to think about, yes, I want the best for you, but you also want to have to want the best for you. I cannot want this more than what you wanted. And my time is valuable. You see what I'm saying? My time is valuable because I don't run a charity. I run a business, and that's a reality. Maybe people are not going to like this, but I'm not running a charity. That's why we have the Veteran Homeowners Club. You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm running is it's a business. And the thing is, I have to be purposeful with your time. You've told me everything that you wanted, and I'll be able to get you everything that you wanted and more. Turns out they're not ready to buy. But they haven't, like, I had to gain it out of them. I had to take that out of them, like, squeeze it out of them. It's like, man, I don't know if we're ready financially in order for us to make this move. And it's like, brother.
Where does that come from? What do you think that comes from? What do you think that
comes from? No.
I think it comes from fear.
It comes from fear. And I told them this. This is what exactly what I told them. It's like, brother, you're having an extreme case of something that's called buyer's remorse, and you haven't even bought. That's something that happens to everybody. Happened to me when I was buying my property. I'm sure it happened to you when you were buying this big ass house and the plans that you had with this big ass house. It applies to everybody that's buying real estate. Man, am I making the right decision? Man, am I going to live here for the rest of the year? But what if I don't? What if I get orders? What if I get a divorce? All the what ifs are going to come into your mind as soon as you sign that real estate contract.
Yep.
That's why you prepare your clients for the follow-on steps. That's actually a step in the process that I'm telling you. You follow up, and I always tell my clients, brother, if they're a buyer, obviously, if they're a seller, we're celebrating that we have an offer. But if they're a buyer, brother, now you're going to get something that's going to call buyer's remorse. The very first time that you're going to be receiving that buyer's remorse is during the home inspection if it's a pre-sale home. The reason for it is because the home inspector, Kyler Bear, shout out to the best freaking home inspector in the
Shout
United
out to
States.
Kyler.
So
We got a hand raising too.
the home inspector is not going. We're not paying him to tell us that the house is fine. We're telling him to give us extra room to know exactly what we're getting ourselves into and to negotiate if the things are worth negotiating for, right?
But don't you think that the upfront communication is very important for that? And then
yeah, that's what I'm telling them.
Yep. I also think that from that scenario, when we have conversations like that, buyer's remorse also comes from influential people 100%. That don't own homes.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, God, yeah.
That staff sergeant with that staff sergeant with the $60,000 vehicle and $1,500 car payment lift a truck.
$700
Yes.
$700 in his account.
Yeah, with $700 in there for divorces.
To your smoke pit realtors, and no hate on the people that smoke or anything like that, but like if this person is not doing it in real time for an income, or they have investment properties elsewhere, if they're not doing it at a level that is higher than yours, do not accept their advice.
What about this one, guys? And I want to ask y'all's opinion on this. What about taking advice from their mom that was in real estate in 1985? Or their cousin? How do you combat that one?
I'm gonna tell you this. So what this happens, dude. I'm telling you, I flow with this shit so smoothly, man. Because I had this shit. Look, listen, man. Like I had this shit with like me trying to convince a parent of a 17-year-old to let their kid join the Marine Corps. Okay, so me trying to convince a parent of somebody else buying real estate is a cakewalk for me. I don't know, for some people this might be super intimidating, but this is easy for me. The very first thing that I do is I do a SWOT analysis. So whenever I start the conversation with somebody, all of my clients, I'm doing behind the scenes, I'm doing a SWOT analysis, and I'm identifying the strength, weaknesses, opportunities that I might have in the threats. If a client, usually clients like to boast, yeah, because my mom is in real estate or was in real estate back in whatever. I put that under the T, under the threat, because I still haven't talked to them. And usually with the way that I fix that is, you know what, brother? I know that your mom's opinion is very important. So how about we do this? If they are in California, I am doing an in-person, because I know that if I catch you in face-to-face, it's a wrap.
Yep.
I know that for a fact. So what I'm going to do is, my office is in 805 College Boulevard. Let's set up an appointment so that way your mom can see your real estate operations, and maybe we can get some feedback from your mom. Maybe you never know. We sparked her interest back again in real estate. But let's go ahead. Let's meet up with your mom and any other person that might swing your decision on purchasing a property. Because now what I'm doing is I'm corralling everyone that he's really going to listen into, and I am going to reel them in. That's the way that I do it.
You got to hire and that's a good one. You got to hire the influential people to become, so you can have some influence. And I don't look at anything as a problem. I think it's a challenge. And this is the reason why, guys, that you guys should be getting interconnected with us. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys are enjoying the conversation. Let me go ahead and do a quick room reset. Welcome to the Win in Real Estate Show. We're live and in color on the SITREP podcast. Please hit the SITREP YouTube channel above my head. Can you guys, all of you guys right now, click on that SITREP YouTube and then post a comment on our YouTube channel and then put done when you guys are done. The reason why we want to ask you guys to do that is because, as you can see, Clubhouse is dwindling away. Okay, and we're transitioning to YouTube and Twitter and Chatter. Those are the 3 spaces that we're going to be on, utilizing those 3 platforms to where we're going to be communicating on those 3 platforms. That way we can influence more people. But here's something that I always say. Okay, you're always going to have people that are going to give you advice on something that they're not doing. Why are you buying a house? The market's going to crash. You know. Why you starting that real estate business?
How can anybody afford these things?
The interest rates are too high.
Oh my God.
And guess what? Those people are usually broke. Let me tell you a secret.
Buying stupid shit.
Let me tell you a secret. You're never going to become rich saving your money. You can only become rich investing your money and putting your money into something that's going to print money. And one of them is real estate, and the second one is corporate structures. And you can't have neither one of those unless you either own a business or you have something tangible that you can pass down to your heirs. Now, I want to ask Albert, what are you guys going to be talking about this weekend? I know we got 2 events coming up. We got the CARDONE Veterans Group event that we have coming up. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then we also have the VA Loan Masterclass that we have coming up following that. Can you guys talk about some of the topics that you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, of course. So essentially, guys, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking it down Barney style. How is it that you can go from step 0 to all the way for you to becoming and starting your journey as a real estate investor? If you are already a real estate investor, meaning you already own property, we're going to show you how to set up a corporate structure. We're going to show you how are you going to be able to buy from that money, possibly rolling over your equity into a multi-unit property. Not only that, we're also going to show you how to partner up either with another veteran or with a civilian in order for you to be able to start your multi-unit investment journey, whether it'll be in California. This is nationwide with Cardone veterans. Grant Cardone and Lena Cardone has allowed us to do this on a nationwide scale, guys, and we continue to grow at a very fast pace.
And then also, if you guys want to become a top producing real estate professional, okay, we're coaching agents too. So if you guys want to join this movement with us, I'm telling you right now, we're going to be the biggest go-to national real estate brokerage for those looking to invest in real estate for veterans, for 21 million veterans. And this is the half of the crew right here, guys. So I bought a home. Fantastic Ride Pack. That's fantastic. And I think Ride Pack, we were talking to him about buying a property. I remember him. What's up, Ride Pack? Come on the stage, man, and tell the people who you are. Okay, so when we're talking about these things, guys, you know, we have a person live and in color on Clubhouse that will tell you that he bought a home, sold a home, bought another property, and sold a property, and then sold a business, and he actually went through the event with us. Now let's talk about this last thing. The Department of Veteran Affairs published a circular, okay, about veterans being able to get pay for compensation. I want to start with you, Albert, and then we'll go to you. What do you think about this change? Can you explain exactly what it is?
Yeah, so it is a VA guideline that you cannot pay for your realtor if you're trying to utilize the VA home loan. But because of the NAR lawsuit that now, you know, sellers don't essentially have to offer buyer agent compensations. The one area that were being screwed over because they were not having any type of representation was the veterans. So veterans, if the veteran, and the thing is, the veteran already has barely enough money in order for them to cover the closing costs. Most veterans, at least, right?
Don't.
Yeah, most even don't even have to cover the closing costs, so it has to be negotiated within their agreement. So now, what they allowed was for the veterans to pay for it, but where the payment come from, that's where the subject of conversation is actually coming from, right? Because can that come from a concession? Let's say the seller is not offering, you know, buyer's agent compensation, but can now that buyer's agent compensation come in the way of a concession to the buyer, and the buyer now pays the agent?
So are you asking?
I'm asking, yeah, because
So-
that wasn't specified in the memorandum that was sent out.
Right.
Yeah, I was wondering about that thing,
it
too.
was completely illegal for in 2024. It was illegal for any representation for the actual buyer to pay a commission to the agent. It was illegal, right? So that means that if it was a concession or whatever, no matter what, remember the concession
No.
goes to the vet. A concession is basically monies that you can utilize to pay whatever, okay? But the problem that we were having with veterans is that in the event that there was a credit, right? That means that money is going towards who? Me as the buyer, right? So that means then I would then take that money and pay the commission. That still was illegal. They couldn't do that. So
That's what I'm saying. Can you do that now with the way that the VA
the way that it says? Let's read it, okay?
Well, I mean, okay, so in reality, before we go into that though, like, why was that a rule, and now why are they taking it back though?
So the reason why that was a rule in the beginning is because, you know, they want to make sure that the veteran has, you know, a fair and equal opportunity, and they weren't getting taken advantage of because of the 100% financing. So I'm pretty sure they put that rule in place before because veterans were getting taken advantage of. It's
Yeah.
100% financing. Hey, we want to charge the VA. Obviously, going to put guidelines in there to make sure everything is nice and clean, right?
Yeah.
So that was why the rule was in place in the beginning, because obviously the listing agent will be able to share their commission with the person anyway. But now that this NAR lawsuit is in place, the veteran is we're already in last place because people don't want to accept the loan because they think that there's some big bad boogeyman.
Fees and stuff added to the loan. You know, it's not in the seller's best interest in order for them to sell their home to a veteran, which is quite the opposite.
That's correct. And then these are some of the things that we wanted to talk about, because now we're going to read some of these things. I'm going to read them step by step, and then we're going to go over temporary local variance for buyer brokers. It's weird conversation, guys, but I'm going to read this to you guys because we're breaking it here live and in color for veterans. And if you're a veteran and you're watching the show, you need to know this, okay? VA is authorizing a temporary local variance that allows veterans to pay reasonable and customary amounts for any buyer broker charges, including commissions and any other broker related fees. Any other broker related fees. Now, here's something that we have to be careful with, because, you know, passing down fees to the actual borrower, it needs to be within good taste of the contract, okay? And then it also says here, the home the veteran is purchasing in an area where listing brokers are prohibited from setting buyer broker compensation through multiple MLS postings, or or buyer broker compensation cannot be established by or flow through the listing broker. So that basically means that
They're talking about for sale by owners.
right.
Sounds like it's if it doesn't come from a listing, like let's say for example, right, if it comes from FISBO, like a for sale by owner, then essentially, which that's how it's always been, by the way. Like if you have a FISBO, you still have to negotiate some type of compensation with the owner.
Right.
And FISBOs has always been a thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to use a real estate agent.
That's, I mean,
People utilize the real estate agents because
they
they see the value in hiring a real estate agent. It's just that the value of real estate agents has to step up, now has to evolve. That's it. I don't look at this as something like,
It's not a bad thing.
it's not a bad thing. No, what they're asking us is for us to evolve. That's it.
Now, go ahead, Ian.
It's just a bunch of nonsense, though, because it's really just changing around where the numbers are coming from. The numbers are still in place. It's still going to probably cost about the same to list and sell your house if you use any kind of
Well,
agency,
no, because
whatever
now
it is.
people are, I guess the thing is like people are now more aware of negotiations of like, oh, so it's not a flat 6% fee.
It never was.
I know, but now there's more awareness to that.
That's true.
Now there's more awareness to that.
I just talked to somebody about this. They, oh wait, yeah, you agents, you're only going to get 3% now. Yeah, it's all cut in half, and it's just like, no, that's not true. Like everything still is in place.
Yeah,
like,
there's more awareness.
A product that has a higher sale, like this has always been a thing. Like if you want something to sell faster, pay the sales force more. Like that's not a thing. You know, a high commission is pretty well known that will sell a product faster. But the nature of this whole lawsuit is the placement of the advertisement. That is the only thing that changed in this entire thing. And because now that's a thing, the VA is anticipating more problems for the buyer because they're going to have less opportunities for representation. That now they're saying that in order to maintain the ability for a veteran to represent themselves, if they have to, they can be they can pay it, because this local variance states that before this variance, they could not pay their agent. Period. Yeah. That money to that agent could not come out of their pocket, no matter the proper route it took. Yeah. Whereas now they are issuing this variance to say that if in the circumstances that present itself, as long as they're fair and equitable, you can pay your agent to represent you if you're a veteran.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about this is that let me read this and break this down. Buyer broker. Okay, so let's wrap this scenario up. Okay, Ian, you're going to be the listing agent. That means that Ian is listing the property. He's the one who is putting the house in the MLS. Okay, you're going to be the buyer's agent. Okay, and I'm going to be the veteran. Okay, so basically, what's going on is that this is saying that if Ian put the property in the MLS and that he's the buyer broker, compensation cannot be established by or flow through the listing broker. That means that if I'm the veteran and I hire Albert, right, to represent me, that basically means that Albert is working for free. He cannot offer compensation. That's the way that it was. That means that he couldn't offer any compensation. That means he's driving around showing properties, and there's some states that don't offer that. So now what the secular does is it changes that. Now I also want to talk about, it says buyer's broker charges paid or to be paid by the veteran are to be considered in determining whether the veteran has sufficient liquid assets to close the loan. An invoice is not necessary to support the buyer broker charges. The total amount paid, if any, by the veteran is to be recorded in lines 1 through 3 on the section H in the closing disclosure. What's strange about this is that the VA is basically waiting on NAR to come down so they can make it a permanent thing. What do you think about that?
I see what the wording of this is different. They're saying this temporary variance is subject to the following, meaning that it has to follow these rules, or is it subject to these rules being in place?
Yeah.
So what that means, though, is that if in other, like for instance, that number 2, buyer broker compensation cannot be established by a flow through the listing broker, meaning that it can still come from the listing broker, but this variance is in place where that is not available.
Correct.
That makes more sense now. Okay.
Yeah. So what am I doing? In the reality, what I'm doing is what I've done already is I'm negotiating with the buyer. I'm sorry, I'm not negotiating. I'm negotiating with the seller, and I'm putting up that SPBB, and I'm telling him, it's like, okay, so you guys don't want to pay me. Let's say I put $12,000. Let's just to put a number out there, right? Let's say I put $12,000. Okay, so you guys are not willing to pay me $12,000, but you guys got back to me, so that means you guys are willing to pay something. There's got to be some type of interest in there as well. So it's like, okay, so how much are you guys willing to pay? $8,000, okay, and then we essentially negotiate the commission throughout the contract. That's all it is. That's all it is. Honestly, it's like, do not, buyers agents, do not shy away from negotiating on your behalf. If you negotiate, because think about it, if you really think about it, if you suck negotiating for yourself, how the hell can you negotiate for somebody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, how the hell are you really being comfortable negotiating for somebody else when you are not comfortable negotiating for yourself? So be comfortable negotiating for yourself and know your worth. I know my worth. You know why? Because my worth is tangible. I can pull stats that you can see tangibly from my phone, or if you want it in a nice car, or a nice binder or whatever, I can put it. And now you can see why is it that I do the work that I do. And hopefully you guys have been able to see that throughout the conversations that we've had, and how am I able to guide these conversations. And this, if you want to partner up with Cardone veterans, this is also the type of training that you will be receiving.
Yep. That's good. That's a good one, man. And guys, we appreciate you guys on the show. If you guys want to get more information about what it is that we're doing, okay, listen, guys. If you're trying to represent more veterans, this is the place for you. Okay, you guys can reach out to us by texting WIN to 760-573-2731. Again, that's WIN to 760-573-2731. If you're a realtor and you want to represent more vets, text us. If you're a realtor and you want to make more money, don't text us, because we don't care about the money. We care about the veterans getting into property. And if you're focusing on that as a real estate professional and you're looking to make more money, make more revenue, okay, and get more revenue in your business, do a good job. Negotiate like you're buying your own home. sacrifice some of your compensation to make a deal work, right? Because that's what's more important than making money. A lot of agents are out here, they're getting into the game to make all of this money and drive a 3 Series BMW, right? But the fundamental thing is people over profit, and I think that's more important when you guys are out here being a real estate professional. And if you hire a real estate professional and they don't know about concessions, they don't know about your secondary purchase, they just want to sell you a property. That's what they want to do. They want to sell you a property, get the commission, and go find more clients. That's not what we do here, okay? We're making investors. We want you to buy a property, and then we want you to buy more property because that's the only thing that prints money. And that's what you're going to learn in the VA Loan Masterclass hosted by myself, Albert, Ian, and Bruno that's not here right now. We'll teach you step A to Z as a veteran on how to buy a property, how to negotiate, about the interest rate reduction refinance loan, about doing a VA construction loan, about all of these things and keeping you up to date on these changes. So, Brother Albert, what's the best way to connect with you?
Well, people can reach me out. First of all, Tony, thank you for the invite. Dude, I swear I could be in Tony's house just staring at the sprinklers for like the entire day. Even the sprinkles are pretty. So essentially, guys, you guys can go to Ramos_Capital Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You guys can go to the link in my bio. You guys can request a consultation. Whether you are trying to list your property, whether you're trying to buy a property, or whether you're trying to get into the real estate game, you can schedule a consultation with me, and I will give you a detailed roadmap on the first steps that you need to take in order for you to get to point A to point B, which that leads me to my next point. You can also find me in YouTube, which is the A to B podcast on YouTube with my co-host Barry Bull. Let's go.
I'll freaking stand it. Does that stand for Albert and Barry?
It's supposed to be, yes, it's supposed to be from A to B. That's why it started like that. But Barry has another meaning for it. I guess drill instructors back in the day used to say.
Asshole to belly button?
Yeah.
Oh
used
my
to say
God.
It. And I sound like, no, Barry, let's go with Albert to Barry, okay? And he's like, okay, roger that. So yeah, so that the A to B podcast on YouTube, we are releasing an episode tomorrow, Major, that wrote a novel. Got out of the Marine Corps. He's like, I'm done with the Marine Corps. And he got out, and now he's a book writer. Storyteller. So yeah, pretty cool. That's coming out tomorrow.
And I have one more question for you. What advice would you give a veteran? What advice would you give Albert today in regard to getting in real estate? Like,
oh man, start sooner. A lot of people don't realize this, and a lot of people always ask me, because this is the number one thing why we only have 6% of the 21 million veterans that own properties. And it's because they do not understand when is the perfect time for them to buy real estate. When should I buy it? Oh, well, things are expensive. Well, buddy, things have been expensive ever since fucking, the real estate actually started. If we compare what is expensive compared to the 1990s, yes, 100%. But people in 1990s were also complaining because it was expensive. So the best time for you to buy real estate is whenever you are financially ready. So that's the number one thing. I would have, if me giving me advice, I would understand what does being financially ready really means. So, and I would have started as soon as I knew, because I preferred, me personally, and this is why my testimony is so big whenever it comes to the position that I am right now, because I was broke.
I remember you told us that, yeah.
I was extremely broke. Like, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and my account was being overdrafted on day 16 of 15 by me getting paid. Oh. Like, that's how broke I was, okay? Because I didn't understand, because I preferred to put money in credit cards to get instant satisfaction for things instead of me living like no one else, so that way I could live like no one else. That's why I didn't understand. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, specifically with my people, service members, because I know the struggles that service members go through. So that's the number one thing, is identifying when to be financially ready. And the second thing is, once you are financially ready, making financial adjustments in order for you to be better off in the long run through real estate.
Ah, that's fantastic, man. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys believe that that's really, really good advice, guys. And I appreciate, guys, my Clubhouse family, I appreciate you guys for rocking out with us. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys coming here. Make sure you click the SITREP YouTube channel above my head. Click that link above my head on Clubhouse. Make sure you guys do that. And if you're not on Clubhouse, TonyGlennII.com, TonyGlenn ii.com, and you'll be able to see the YouTube channel there. And I want to give a special shout out to my man that just closed his property, Riot Pack. Riot Pack, are you here? Is Riot Pack gone? Or is he still here? Riot Pack says that I came here last year in November, filled out the VA home loan app, and closed on the home through 2 weeks ago. So put a fire emoji in the chat for Riot Pack that just closed on his first property. Thank you for listening to us and coming in here. That is freaking fantastic. Ian, my man, 50 grand. I have a question for you.
All right, run it.
What advice would you give yourself in regard to real estate investing your first year?
Real estate investing?
Yes.
Let's see. Don't listen to people who aren't doing it professionally. I know we talked about that earlier, but I see it often where, especially people that are really social, they get bad information from people who are misinformed. Like, for instance, my last, I just had a listing appointment with somebody, and they had all these like really tough guy rules, and they're like, "Oh, I refuse to pay, dual agency if you bring a buyer to me." I was like, "Do you know that actually hurts you, in a way? Like, you're gonna pay that money anyway. If I had the perfect buyer, would you not want me to bring him to your house?" Or they had all these people get dragged down through misinformation over and over again because, one, they probably don't know where you're buying. Like, for instance, I had a client that was buying in Hawaii and they were listening to their people in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Not a different market. And then also you want to talk to people who are doing exactly the thing that you feel like you want to learn. If you want to learn how to flip houses, talk to somebody who's flipping houses. If you want to learn how to buy and sell real estate as an agent, talk to a high producing agent, and be a student and be humble, and then find a good mentor.
Fantastic. And what's the best way to reach out to you?
Everybody, super simple. Ian _Jensen _ realtor on Instagram, and Ian Jensen on Facebook. Pretty easy to find. So, white guy with a beard and a black suit on.
Man in black type.
I just have a question for you, man. How many underscores do you have in your IA underscore N underscore backspace?
That would be 2.
Indeed. And then the advice that I would give myself, I'll tell you guys, and I'll close out with this. The fundamental advice that I would give a real estate professional in this market is intimately focus on becoming the best known real estate professional in your local area, and then always hang around people who you want to become. So I hang around with these guys because they're always doing something that excites me, right? Ian's working on a big project right now that's kicking his ass, but he's getting through it, and that's going to give him the experience to get into bigger deals. Albert got me. The reason why I'm doing this YouTube at a higher level right now is because he's like, "You need to be content, man. Get you." I was always contenting on Facebook and Instagram, but he ignited the fire in me to get more on to TikTok, right? So there's certain things that there's certain people that elevate you to a higher level. I'm not around complainers either, man. Right now I'm sitting there amongst the table with meat eaters, right? I don't want to be around people who's going to complain about where they're at. I want to hang around with people who will have a destination. And behind the scenes, you'll see that we have an operation. I got my homie AP that has this production set up. He's committed to growing his business as well. Same with Alexis. I want to be around people who are not focused on where they're at. They're focusing on who they want to become, right? And that's planting positive seeds and being around people, because if I'm not around people, I'm a shark in a fish tank, right? Y'all can't see it, but I got a big ass pool right here. The reason why that pool is big right here is because I want more people in it, right? I need to be around people who are hunters, right? And that's the advice that I would give real estate professionals. Focus on the people and not the profit, and then also be around people who are that you want to become. And then the second thing for real estate investors that I would say, the advice that I would give a real estate investor is this, man. Get your ass in the game, right? You're going to get punched in the face, guys. Real estate is going to deal you a nasty hand, right? but champions understand that. You're never going to get the experience thinking that you're going to do everything right. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to lose some people. But if you got the seed that was given to you to go through it, your purpose is to fulfill that seed and nourish that seed until it becomes a plant. And then the plant becomes the fruit. And then you're going to reflect back and say, you know what? I did it, right? Every single company that I have done, I did not do it by myself. And it was always hard. I did it with people. We are way more important than me, okay? So set your goals lofty, right? The reason why you don't have 10 real estate deals is because you're focused on one. The reason why you don't have 10 companies is because you're focusing on where you're at versus who you want to become. So that's the best advice that I could give people. We appreciate you guys. Again, TonyGlennII.com is where you find the YouTube channel. And I appreciate you guys for showing up, and we'll see you guys soon, okay? Peace. Whoop, whoop. Good one.